on stream.
Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to Into the 99. Brewing it live. We've come back from 2 weeks vacation and we're already going wrong.
Things are going perfectly right. I don't know what you're talking about.
They're going perfectly right. Yes, Han.
Absolutely.
So if
Good to
you're...
see you all again.
Yes, thank you for coming back after our short vacation. We're going to go straight into the new D&D set because the set just dropped and it's amazing. So if you did any pre-releases, let us know how you did. But we're going to be doing Nihiloor. You pronounce it, Han.
Nihiloor. Nihiloor?
Nihiloor. The squid thing. For 2 white, blue, black, it's a 3/5 horror. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, tap up to 1 untapped creature you control. When you do, gain control of target creature that player controls with power less than or equal to the tapped creature's power for as long as you control Nihiloor. Whenever you attack with a creature an opponent owns, you gain 2 life and that player loses 2 life.
Yep. So we're just going to go ahead and be stealing some opponent's creatures and getting them for ourselves. And when we attack with a creature that anybody else owns, we gain 2 life. And they lose 2 life. We like it.
It's really good. It's a very weird card to work around, but I think that's what makes this card so fun.
Yeah, for sure. Ashen, hello. Already
Hello.
got Kamigawa suggestions that were loaded up and ready to go. Okay.
Okay. I wouldn't be brewing it live without a Kamigawa suggestion, to be fair.
Indeed. Yeah, Nihiloor is a mind flayer for those of you guys that aren't aware. Mind flayers are a creature in D&D, and yeah, Nihiloor's pretty crazy. Mind flayers in general are very, very scary.
Yeah, I've only ever really seen them in the Critical Role. Is it season 1 where they meet the Mind Flayer at the bottom of the mines in the Dwarven City?
Yes, it is.
But that's as far as I got that they met that one. I need to go back and watch that series because it was so fun. Hello,
Hey, Jojo.
Jojo. um,
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. They have some crazy things that they do to you, and yeah. Um, let's get right into it. I mean, the first thing that Mind Flayers do is actually a card called Extract Brain.
oh,
So it is on flavor. Extract Brain is X blue and a black for a
yeah.
sorcery. Target opponent chooses X cards from their hand. Look at those cards. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost.
Oh,
I'm going to do something from your hand for X.
is this the kind of deck that we're basically looking at an alternate way of playing the Sen triplets?
Kind of, yeah.
How does Sen triplets work again? Because it's something that I've not seen in a while because it's seen as a bad card in Commander. So it's the same mana cost, Human Wizard 3/3. At the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of your upkeep, choose target opponent this turn. That player can't cast spells or activate abilities and plays with their hand revealed. You may play lands and cast spells from that player's hand this turn.
Right.
So it's just a slightly different version.
Right. Yeah. Basically, think of you can think of Extract Brain as kind of a one-time effect for that.
That seems fair. Well, it doesn't seem fair, but it seems good.
It is very good.
It is good. In my last campaign, I tried to fight a Mind Flayer. He sent an Intellect Devourer after me, which nearly killed me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
intellect devourers are little quadrupedal creatures. They look like they just have hands attached to a brain, literally.
Oh,
Yeah. That
okay.
apparently almost killed Ashen.
And Ashen says, saving the Kamigawa for a bit later. First suggestion from me is Thieving Algamin.
Yeah, thieving amalgam.
What's that one do? 5 black black for an ape snake. 6/7. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you manifest the top card of that player's library. Whenever a creature you control but don't own dies, its owner loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Ooh.
Right. And manifesting just means put a card onto the battlefield face down. It's a 2/2 creature. You can turn it up face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card.
Yeah, but also the creatures that you control but don't own die can still be the ones that we get from Nihiloor.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a good 2-in-1.
Yep.
I like that. Emrakul. Sure. Which one's not banned? Is it the Aeon's Taunt?
Aeon's Torn is banned. Promised End is not.
I always get in the wrong way round. No wonder I get funny looks. 13 mana, 13/13. Costs 1 less to cast for each card among card types in your graveyard. When you cast Emrakul, gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn, flying, trample, protection from instants. I mean, if we're going to go in just controlling cards, we might as well just go the whole hog and control the person.
Yep.
So,
I mean, if you wanted to.
what's that card? What's that card? You know, like...
I'm fairly certain you're talking about Mindslaver?
I actually was. This is how much we've been brewing together, Han, is I can go, what's that card? And you know exactly what I'm on about. Is it one word?
I'd say about 50% of the time now.
Yeah, the other time it's like, 6 mana, 4 and tap, sacrifice it, you gain control of target player during that player's next turn.
So yeah, we could throw that in. Just as to touch on JoJo's suggestion. So Emrakul, because it's a 13/13 and our commander cares about the what we're tapping in terms of power.
Oh, we can take pretty much anything.
At that point, yeah, if we're casting a 13 drop, yeah.
Gold is not safe.
So whenever Nihiloor enters the battlefield, again, for each opponent, you get to tap up to 1 untapped creature. So when we tap Emrakul, we can take anything that's 13 power or less. So yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Along the same lines, Nihiloor cares about the power of the creatures that we're going to be putting out on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So I found a couple of kind of value ones that are quite nice for the deck. Things like a Relic Golem is great. Relic Golem is a 3-mana artifact creature golem, just 3 colorless. Yeah. And it comes down as a 6/6. Now, Relic Golem can't attack or block unless an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. And you get to pay 2 and tap for the activated ability to mill 2 cards from a target player.
Okay.
So for 3 mana, you have a 6/6 on board. And if you drop Nihiloor at any other point, you can go ahead and get something that's 6 power or less. Seems pretty great.
Okay. What about... So the commander literally says when it enters the battlefield, it does what it does, so we can steal their creatures.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is we need effects to untap creatures when it enters, so we have creatures to tap.
Right.
But also what my brain's coming in is things like Conjurer's Closet. So every turn that we can bounce it. So for 5 mana, you have an artifact that at the beginning of your end step, you may exile a creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So we can flicker our commander and steal even more. So in that instance, Thassa?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, so Thassa is another fantastic one. It does the same effect for 1 less because we're in blue instead of being able to use it universally. And yeah, Thassa is 3 and a blue for a 6/5 indestructible enchantment creature god.
Hey.
And at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. Activated ability, tap another target creature for 3 and a blue.
Yeah, that's really cool. And thank you, Ashen, for the 3-month subscription.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashen.
Also, if you want to get really dirty with this,
What are you thinking?
Helm of the Host.
Shouldn't have asked.
Well, it does the same thing. In theory, it gets another one coming into the battlefield, it triggers, but it also gives us more mind flayers.
Sure. And to that effect, do we want to just put in Mind Flayer?
I mean, flavor.
3 blue for a 3/3 horror with Dominate Monster. When Mind Flayer enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer.
Ooh.
So we're going to just take people's cards as long as we control these creatures.
It seems fair. Um,
No.
Nihiloor wants a few creatures to steal stuff. He wants bigger stuff, but he also wants a few big things. So, Beligor of Wills.
Beguiler. So Beguiler of Wills is not a card that I'm familiar with. Huh, okay.
No, I've not heard of it before either. 3 blue. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control.
Okay.
Oh, there's another thing that we can do actually. So, like, for example, with this card, we can use something similar. Empress Galena.
Oh, yeah.
So, just for example, we've got Empress Galena, 3 blue for a legendary merfolk, 1/3, double blue, gain control of target legendary permanent.
I actually think I like that better.
So, what we could do is use something like this to steal something big from our opponent and then play Nihiloor and tap that.
Yep.
That would be pretty mean.
Yeah. And Nihiloor actually quite the way that I read it, it feels as though it really enjoys having things come in and out of our hand, like bounce effects or things like ephemerate type of effects where it's just blinking it in and out. That's what it sounds like to me for some value off of these things.
Yeah.
So to that effect, I mean, I think things like Court of Grace would be great because it would, first of all, at the beginning of your upkeep, it creates at least a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying after you become the monarch for 2 and 2 white. And if you maintain monarch, then you get to just create a 4/4 angel creature token instead. But either way, it gives you something to tap for each opponent, right?
Yeah, so we
At the beginning of your
can.
upkeep.
And if we're making 4/4s, we can start stealing things that are 3 or less.
Right.
Why steal stuff only from the battlefield? How about graveyard with ink eyes, hands with silent blade oni, or libraries of fallen shinobi? Ooh.
Okay. So Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni, is 4 black for a 5/4 rat ninja legendary creature with ninjutsu, 3 black. Ninjutsu allows you to return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand and put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking instead. So, and whenever Ink Eyes deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Yep.
Ooh.
So,
That one's a good one.
yeah.
Ink eyes is in Kamigawa. Of course it is.
Of course.
Libraries of Fallen Shinobi. What's the Fallen Shinobi, Han?
Fallen Shinobi sounds like another Kamigawa card to me. It's the Zombie Ninja.
Oh, yeah.
3 blue-black from Modern Horizons. 5/4 Zombie Ninja with ninjutsu 2 and blue-black. Whenever Fallen Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library. Till end of turn, we may play those cards without paying their mana costs.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
let's get some value out of that. Trying to get some ninjutsu up in here. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that being quite disgusting. Um,
Yep. I had some fun cards that are a different kind of value in Nihiloor. So I had thought something like Naxaw Click was something, and that actually could potentially even activate these ninjutsu cards. Uh,
who?
Naxaw Click is Naxaw. It's Knack.
Okay.
Naxaw Click.
Yep.
Go ahead and read it, Lotus.
Uh, oh, it's from Shadowmoor, one of my favorite areas of Magic. 3 and a blue for
Yeah.
a 1/4 flying fairy rogue. 1 and a blue, untap. Target opponent removes the top card of their library from the game. Until end of turn, you may play that card. Ooh,
Yeah. So you were talking about things that like to be untapped so that we can go ahead and do these shenanigans, right?
yeah. What's that
Yeah.
enchantment that you pay a blue and untap something? I
Freed from
can.
the real kind of thing.
Yeah, is it freed from the real? Does the same sort of thing? Is it? Yeah, I think we should put one of them in.
Yeah.
That way we can untap and tap with Nihiloor.
Yep. Now that freed from the real has to be on an enchanted creature.
Yeah, but we can enchant our Emrakul.
Yep. That's fair. We got to get there first, but yeah, we could certainly do
I
that.
mean, why not? Live the dream, Han. Live the dream.
Sure. um, Another fun one that came out recently out of uh, Time Spiral Remastered, actually. It got the I just saw Ashton's comment. Uh, yeah, Mirieke Rebarrett, that one. I don't know how to pronounce that. Marique.
How are you?
Marique is
How are you spelling that, Han?
Merieke. So
Yeah.
Marique is a legendary human, 1/1, and it doesn't untap during our untap step. But you can tap it to gain control of a target creature as long as you control it. And when Marique leaves play or becomes untapped, you destroy a creature. So you just take creatures.
Yeah.
We have untap abilities to go ahead and make sure that Marique goes ahead and just destroys creatures off of the battlefield.
Yeah, I quite like that. That sound.
Yep.
Oh,
And
oh!
especially with ink guys, then we could take it out of the graveyard.
I've just thought of another one.
Oh.
Agent of Treachery.
Mm-hmm.
5 blue for a 2/3 human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. I think
Yeah.
that would be pretty good.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
We're stealing things. We like it.
Uh,
Uh, Go ahead.
Ashen's suggesting Intruder Alarm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Intruder alarm for untapping.
And tappy tappy. 2 and a blue enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. And I know that one very well from my Merfolk deck.
Yep. Sounded familiar.
It does. Yeah, those Merfolk shenanigans get a little bit out of hand.
Ashen also has a suggestion. Dragon Lord Silumgar. That should be familiar as well.
Yeah, because Richard plays that a lot in the Dragon.
Bird Dragon. Yep. So 4 blue black for a legendary Elder Dragon. Flying Death Touch 3/5. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds
Okay.
like we're going to be doing some taking things.
Okay, so this one, I'm expecting Ashen to have the keyboard already ready. So in Kamigawa, there is a legendary dragon that if it dies, it's the blue one. We gain control of a creature or something.
Oh, might be a Ryusei.
I can't remember which one it is. It's the Falling Star?
No, that's Ryusei is the red one. Which one is it?
Is it the something star?
Keiga.
Keiga,
Keiga.
5 and a
Time
blue.
Star.
Yeah, legendary dragon spirit flying. When it dies, gain control of target creature. It is a 5/5
Yeah,
for our commander, so it's still quite a high power.
right. 5/5 for 6, however, right? And it has to die instead of on an ETB. So
Yeah,
we get less value out of this one, I think, than some flicker kind of effects
true, but the way I was
that we probably
thinking
want
was
in the deck.
it's 5 power, so it's quite a big creature still, and if they destroy it, it's the threat of us taking a creature regardless.
Sure, I could see it. Some of the other things that I was thinking about for the power aspect of what Nihiloor likes to do, things like Phyrexian Soul Gorger came to mind. It was a card that was reprinted in for, I believe, Mystery Booster, and
Yes.
it's only 3 mana for the artifact that gives you an 8/8. It has a cumulative upkeep of sacrifice a creature. However, like I said, if we have effects such as Court of Grace that are giving us, 1/1s to sacrifice,
Or we
seems pretty
can
good.
blink it to reset the counters on it.
Absolutely.
I know that
So
we've
yeah.
I know that we've passed this a while ago with Thassa Deep Dwelling, though
Uh-huh.
I've just sort of thought of the way that that card works. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So
Right.
if we steal something with Nihiloor or something that says you only own it until that leaves the battlefield, Thassa
Right.
Deep Dwelling overrides that to being permanent.
Yep. It's pretty great.
Yeah, so does Conjurer's Closet do the same? At the beginning of the end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
So we can steal things permanently, reflick a commander, and keep going.
Yep. It is steal and keep.
That's what stealing is, hun.
Okay. Borrow and then keep, which becomes
Permanent
stealing.
borrowing.
Now, a couple of things that also came to mind for myself when I saw this commander is I saw another commander, or rather, another commander came to mind
Okay.
um, that works very well as part of the 99 in this deck. And that card's actually Renar, the Ever Watchful. Now, if you remember the Renar commander precon that came out with the elves, uh, so Renar is a 2 white blue legendary spirit warrior that has flying and vigilance. It's a 2/3, and it allows you to foretell the first card each turn for 0. Now, the key part for me was the part where it says whenever you exile one or more cards from your hand and or permanents from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying.
Ooh. So,
So that just fits so well in this deck because you want to be making 1/1 creatures or something to block, or even just having creatures to tap just for 1/1s, even take some, you know, ornithopters, birds of paradises, things of that nature. But we're going to be doing a lot of exiling anyhow. So then we go a little bit wide potentially with Renar and just go to town.
yeah, that seems pretty decent. I like that. We might not use the.
Yeah.
Well, I doubt we'll ever use the Foretell in this deck, but the rest of it's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, we might not ever use Foretell. However, we certainly can. Um, Things like Dream Devourer also just seems great for, in my perspective, anyways, because we do have some of these higher costing spells. We have our Agent of Treachery costing us 7. Well, why not foretell it?
Yeah. And if we do Foretell a card, it gets +2.
Right. And for those that aren't aware, Dream Devourer, it's 1 and a black for a 0/3 Demon Cleric, and each non-land card in your hand without foretell now has foretell. Its foretell cost is equal to its mana cost, reduced by 2. And whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0 until end of turn. But realistically, I mean, Dream Devour just if you have it on curve, you can foretell something for 2 and then put a 6-drop down for 4 mana. Seems good. It just speeds up everything.
Yep. I quite like that. We've already hit 62 cards, huh?
Oof.
I
That
know,
was
right?
quick. Let's go ahead and put some more of these ephemerate type cards in, I guess. Ephemerate,
Yeah.
blink effects, because it's kind of what we wanted to be doing anyways. Ephemerate, 1 mana, 1 white for an instant. It exiles a target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you don't want to necessarily exile something that you control but don't own. But it also rebounds. So if you cast a spell from your hand, you exile it as it resolves, and at the beginning of the next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So it comes back and does it again.
Is Cloud Shift one as well?
Cloud Shift is one, yep.
Yep. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control.
So
So
that's
this one's
not
better.
rebounding, but it could potentially be, yeah, used on a creature that we don't own, and we get to keep it.
Yeah.
Yep, seems great.
Seems good.
Ashen has not a permasteel, but teleportation circle.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's from the new set.
Okay. And I still haven't looked at all the spoilers. I'm still enjoying playing it and getting surprises. Like this
Not a bad thing.
teleportation circle, 3 and a white enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's still Flicker's stuff, so
Yep.
that's still good.
I think a ghostly flicker is probably a good one to have in here as well.
Ghostly a Flicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 and a blue. Exile 2 target artifact creatures and or lands you control, and then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. Yep. I'm feeling that quite a lot of this will have a similar feel to my oh, what's the name of the commander I built that I want to bounce to my hand continuously? Atrata. It has
Etrata.
Atrata,
Ah, yes.
the one that is unblockable and you put hit counters and exile stuff with them.
Yep. Fantastic. Uh, Here's a couple of cards that I want to run by you. What do you think of things like Stormscape Familiar? Came out reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered. 1 and a blue for a bird, 1/1 bird flying, white spells and black spells. You play cost 1 less to play.
I mean, it's just good value.
Yep. And the other one that does it a little bit more meanly is probably Grand Arbiter if you want to go blue and white, because it also taxes your opponent's 1 more for every spell.
I mean, they did just print the Judge promo.
Yep. I mean, we certainly have access to it, but
Yeah.
not everybody would.
2 blue white for a 2/3 human advisor. The white spells cost 1 less, blue spells cost 1 less. Spells your opponents cost 1 more to cast.
Yep.
Yep, that's definitely mean, Han. Definitely mean.
But it does make our spells cheaper. So
True.
more
So
upside than downside, I think.
we're in white.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need things like Smothering Tithe, Archaeomancer's Map, um, things like
I
that?
would say I don't think we need the smothering tithe, especially if we're pulling a lot of things from our opponents, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
Um, However, I mean, it's certainly a maybe board. I like the Archaeomancer's map because
Uh,
we want to hit our lands.
yeah, so it's 2 and a white for an artifact, one of my favourite cards of the last few months. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 basic planes. Reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle. When a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player controls more lands than you, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Yep.
It's not ramp, but it keeps us up.
Giggity. What?
Oh, Javert.
Now, on that note, though, I actually quite liked an Athreos in here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I liked an Athreos in here. Shroud Veiled, the other
Oh,
one.
the other one.
Yeah. So this one is out of Theros Beyond.
Yeah.
It's a 4/7 indestructible legendary enchantment creature god for 4 and Orzhov, so 4 white black. And as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature, as typical with most of the Theros gods. At the
Yep.
beginning of your end step, you may put a coin counter on another target creature. Now, whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, you return that card to the battlefield under your control.
Ooh.
So the under your control and a coin counter can be on any target creature, one that we potentially own. But funnily enough, Athreos also doesn't care if it's something that you actually have under your control because it's just another target creature for the coin counter.
In a similar thing, that just reminded me, what's Mothra's real name? Because I don't actually know what its real name is. I just know it as Mothra.
Just look it up as Mothra. Luminous brood moth.
Uh, they should just have
So
both copies on here.
it doesn't quite work, I don't believe, because of how it's worded.
Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control. That's a shame.
Yeah, we got to give it back.
Yeah, no, let's not put that in. That would be a bad idea.
Now, here's another fun card that I came across while doing some research into this deck. Um, Cultivator's Caravan. It's a card from, I believe it was Kaladesh. So it's a 3 mana artifact. It's a vehicle.
Okay.
It's 5/5 power and toughness once you crew it for 3, but otherwise it's just like a manalith. You get to just tap it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool.
Okay.
So you can crew it for 3 with any of your, let's say, these spirit tokens or anything like that, and you now have a 5/5 to potentially use as, fodder for your commander.
Seems fair.
Otherwise, it's just a ramp.
Yeah, it's a ramp with a 5/5 attached.
And that actually led me towards a a fun card out of Modern Horizons 2. Because of the whole vehicle thing, crewing sounds interesting to me.
Okay.
However, this one you might like a lot. It's kind of an unexpected one. Dermotaxi works quite well for this. So Dermotaxi is a 2 mana artifact.
Love this
It's also
card.
a vehicle, and this has imprint. So now we get to, as it enters the battlefield, exile a creature card from a graveyard. Now, keep in mind we have effects such as Conjurer's Closet and Thassa that can reset that imprint, right?
Yeah.
However, you just tap 2 untapped creatures you control, and then until end of turn, Dermotaxi just becomes a copy of the exiled card, except it's a vehicle
I
artifact in addition to its other types.
I don't think you understand how much I do love this card, Han, because I did a Modern Horizons 2 draft,
Yeah.
and I drafted this card,
Mm-hmm.
and I drafted the 5-color legendary that makes Black Lotuses. I was in a
Garth.
I was in a 2-color deck, and I discarded that card and played Dermotaxi and put the other card underneath Dermotaxi. I was having so much fun that I was making Shivan Dragons. I attacked with my Shivan Dragons and sacrificed Black Lotuses to fire breathe them. It's how true magic is intended to be played.
It's the beauty of draft.
And
Oh man.
Yeah, and do you know the best thing is, if you do manage to get that card under Dermataxi, you can tap to make multiple Black Lotuses because it's a new instant of the card.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was beautiful.
So think about it. What if we now have dermataxis, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't forget the play set of Black Lotuses against Mew. Yeah, I got a play set of Black Lotuses on the battlefield against Ashen.
that's fantastic. So towards the idea of dermataxi, I mean, we can put in things like Phyrexian Metamorph
Ooh.
because now we can copy this artifact, dermataxi, and we can have two.
I mean, yes, we could have two, but what about more with oh, what's the production? Mechanized production.
Mechanized production, sure,
Enchant an artifact at the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy. I mean, why not
sure,
let's have lots of them.
yeah. I mean, we could certainly go mechanized production.
I mean, at the very worst, we can put it on Helm of the Host, Mindslaver. Oh, it won't work on Helm of the Host, but Conjurer's Closet, Archaeomancer's Map.
Yep, we have some. I mean, it'll work.
Soul Ring.
Um, another fun one that we could actually potentially do is Scare Tiller. Scare Tiller works pretty well in this deck as well if you're going towards some value out of artifacts, I suppose. 4 mana for an artifact Scarecrow, 1/4. Whenever it becomes tapped, choose one. Put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Yeah. I feel that we need some big chunkers now.
Oh, we've got some.
How big is Torrential Gearhulk?
I believe it's a 4/6 or a 5/6. Let's see. It's been a while since I played with a Gear Hulk. 5/6.
Is that big enough?
I mean, let's take a look at some instants and sorceries we've got. Is there anything we want to be really doing with that so far?
I mean, we've got 3 flicker effects and a sorcery. We don't really have much more.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one.
Okay.
If you're looking for something that's a 5/6 anyways, though, that actually goes a little bit better in this, Ashen has a suggestion of Xanathar, maybe as a similar thing for centriplets. You want to go ahead and take it away?
Xanathar Guild Kingpin.
Yep.
Or blue black for a Beholder 5/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library at any time. You may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any color to cast spells this way. Yeah,
I mean, if you're looking for a 5/6, I think that one fits a little bit better
that
for
one,
the set.
that one definitely does. Definitely does.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I actually like Soul Herder in this deck. It's not a big creature to begin with, but it gets there.
is that Kothioped Soul Hoarder?
No, just Soul Herder, one word.
Ah. Soul Herder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 white blue. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1 counter on it. I mean, we're doing that a lot. At the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of your end step, you may exile another target creature you control, then return that to the battlefield under its owner's control.
We're doing
So,
that as well.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
So, I mean, just to be clear, did you say you wanted like big like power toughness going on though?
Well, I had an idea.
Sure, go for it.
I just need to try and remember the name. What was that avatar you tried to get me to put in a few weeks ago that you change your life total with?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. What's the name?
There's a couple of them. Which you're looking for an avatar that does that?
It's the white one, from Dominaria.
What one from Dumb? Oh, what was that? Evra?
Is it Avra?
Halcyon Witness, right?
Uh,
Yep.
yes, that's the one. 4 white, white for a 4/4 with lifelink. Exchange your life total with Evra. Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
perfect. I think this is actually a perfect target for our commander. I mean, what creature is going to be bigger than 40? If we're at 40.
Sure. Sure. I suppose. I was thinking some of the some certain cards of value here, like Lorcan, Warlock Collector. That's in the new set as well. I believe it's in the commander decks.
Okay.
Um, I know you haven't read the set, so go ahead and take that new one away.
5 black black for a legendary creature devil 6/6 flying. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it into the battlefield under your control. It's a warlock in addition to its other types. If a warlock you control would die, exile it instead. Ooh, I like that.
Yep.
I like that a lot, actually.
How are we doing on card numbers?
We're at
We're at
set 79.
Oh, we still got time. Cool.
We have 27 creatures.
Let me introduce you to a new artifact that might open your eyes a little bit because it seems really good, but you tell me what you think.
Okay.
Rod of Absorption is a new card.
Okay. Oh, I've read this one. This one's actually really good. So
Yeah.
2 and a blue artifact. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, exile it instead of putting it into an opponent's graveyard. Put it into any graveyard as it resolves. That bit alone is really good because we're not letting anyone get flashback, jump start, or anything that
Hmm?
gets their instants and sorceries back. But for X and tap and sacrifice it, you may cast any number of the spells from among the cards exiled with total mana value X or less without paying their mana cost.
Right. So it's total mana value, meaning that you don't get every single one
Well,
that
depends.
is mana value X or less. However, it just depends on how much mana you put into it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I,
Rod of Absorption seems pretty good in a deck like this where you're just kind of biding your time anyhow.
yeah. I like that card. It's really good and it seems like a good defensive and offensive card.
Hmm. I'm surprised that this one hasn't been suggested as of already, but um, the Planeswalker Venser, the Sojourner, seems like a great one as well. Uh, for the flicker effect alone on the +2, so 3 white and blue for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker Venser. +2, exile target permanent you own. Return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step.
Yep.
-1, creatures are unblockable this turn. So those ninjutsu cards, loves this. -8, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, you exile a target permanent.
Ew.
Yep. But I mean, that's if you get there with the -8. However, if you do, it kind of makes Renar pretty great. Whenever
Yeah.
you exile one or more cards from your hand and or permanents from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. So cast a spell, get a 1/1. Wow. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Just incidental synergy.
Right. So I think, well, we're at 81 cards, so I think I'm going to put in things at the minute like Arcane Signet.
Sure.
Um, did you want to put in things like a few talismans?
Sure. Yeah. Dominance, progress, and hierarchy are the 3 in these colors.
Dominance, hierarchy, and
Progress.
progress. So they all tap for colorless, but they also have tap for their respective guild color and deal 1 damage to you for 2 mana, which I actually think these are better than the signets because you don't need a land to tap. So if someone does play Armageddon, you can still use these for mana.
Yep. Additionally, I mean, I think because of the way our commander is mana costed, I think a Soul Ring does do justice here.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially considering the way that we have, Archaeomancer's map being 2 and a white. Ashen says bad already. Uh, yeah,
Can't get around
I
that,
still
can we?
stand by. I still say, I still say that it works. Did we want to go ahead and put in some board wipes or some removal? What are you thinking?
Okay, so here's my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to remove and board wipe when we're stealing everyone else's things?
Not necessarily.
Like, we might need one or two panic buttons, maybe two board wipes, like a damnation and a Wrath of God. But if everything runs smoothly, we should be stealing everything they play.
Right.
But
To that effect, I was thinking because we're in the colors, something like Merciless Eviction is probably, a little bit more flexible because you can just choose one.
yeah, I suppose if someone's playing enchantments or something, we can just go, right, they need to go, or planeswalkers need to
Right.
go.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
gives you a little bit of flexibility. Also, my thought on this was, I mean, we have a Winds of Abandon from Ashen, actually. What's Winds of Abandon do again?
Winds of Abandon is a 1 and a white for a sorcery. Exile target creature you don't control. For each creature
Hmm.
exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. Those players put those cards onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle their library, or you can overload it for 4 white white and exile all creatures you don't control.
Okay.
That one's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Two
Yeah, I
pat.
don't mind that. The other one I was thinking about as far as kind of like a uh, similar, modal one was Dam out of Modern Horizons
Damn.
2 recently because you could overload that as well. Uh, but you can just pay 2 and destroy a target creature if you wanted to just do it that way.
Yeah. How does the other
And
X?
creatures
I
creatures
think.
destroyed this way can't be regenerated. It's other creatures versus all creatures.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with wins for other creatures that we don't control.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. Just a point of consideration for Dam because for 2 black you get to destroy a creature is not bad either at sorcery
Yeah.
speed.
Though in a 3 color deck, double black could be quite troublesome, especially early game.
We just need a Phyrexian tower. That's all. No big deal.
Well, technically, I can cut a swamp and we could put a Tomb of Urborg in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Black is not the hardest one to go ahead and grab,
So then,
especially considering you can throw things in that doubles up our swamp generation if you really want it as well. You can
is,
throw things in like
is that bad
Nakana Revenant.
Revenant?
Nakana Revenant, you can throw things like that in for the effect. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional black. There's another
Oh,
card that does
yeah.
that, and I can't remember off the top of my head what that one is, though.
I thought it was Bad Moon or something.
No, that's +1/+1 on all black creatures. But I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, but
Um,
we get the idea.
yeah. And we're at how many cards right now?
So we're
There we go.
88.
Ashen says Cryptcast. Cryptcast is the one.
Cryptcast?
Yep.
Yep, whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add a black to your mana pool. In addition.
Right. Yeah. So we could just throw that one in as well.
Yeah, because if they're all swamps due to Urborg, we tap plains for white. It's a swamp. We get a black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to continue with swamp-related cards and lands? Because recently Cabal Coffers was reprinted.
It needed
Um,
it.
it really did. Uh, and what else? Well, we can't do Yavimaya. We're not in green.
I mean, you can, but there's no reason to.
Uh, yeah.
I
Are there
think,
any specific cards you thought that needed to go in here?
I mean, I think, I think I'm more looking for a few ways to cheat a few big creatures in because our mana curve looks very high,
Okay.
4.9. So I'm kind of thinking of things like As Foretold. If I'm,
Okay, sure.
let me just As Foretold put a thing at one. Right, so As Foretold is 2 and a blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than the mana cost for a spell you cast with converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. So
Sure.
we can get that out hopefully early, and then play like Dragon Lord Silumgar or Athreos or anything that's really high mana costed earlier or more often.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we do keep in mind we do have that Stormscape Familiar and potentially Grand Arbiter to kind of
Uh,
help us get there as well.
yeah.
As well as, we're ramping as well with Archaeomancer's map, hopefully. But yeah, I hear you on that for sure. Let's see. I
So
mean, Cultivator's Caravan's also ramping us a little bit.
yeah, and we've got all the signets. We've got Soul Ring and Arcane signets, so we're doing really good there. Um, we're only 10
I,
cards off a complete deck. We're doing really well.
yeah. Um, what do you think of things like Semester's End?
Semester's
Semester.
End.
Yep. That's a 4 mana instant out of Strixhaven. Exile any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of the next end step, return each of them to the battlefield under its owner's control. And each of them enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, and an additional loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. So, I mean, we do have a Venser.
Yeah,
Could reset Venser, do it again.
seems reasonable. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Ooh, fun one I just thought of.
Okay.
Uh, Thinking about planeswalkers, do we want to run a Tevish slot? We're in black as well.
I mean, this is the kind of deck that it's mean. So 4 and a black for a 4 loyalty, sat a planeswalker, +2, create 2/0/1 black thrall creature tokens. +1, you may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. If you do, draw 2 cards, then draw another card if the sacrifice permanent was a commander.
Yep.
-10, gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control.
Right.
Yep, that seems mean, and
I think it's like a one of the win cons that you can kind of, hope to alt that, and that's not too bad. Um, and
oh, we're
then
not in the colours. I was gonna say Tybalt because he does something similar, but we ain't in. We're not in red.
we
Um,
are not in red.
we're not.
Um,
However,
I yeah.
however, what's better than controlling our? Well, it's not better than controlling our opponent, but what's better than stealing stuff from their graveyard and their libraries?
Stealing them from the battlefield.
Well, no, I was gonna say we search their libraries and steal it with Op Agent.
Sure. Yep. That one is not banned yet.
It's not banned yet, but we can steal from their libraries, but we can also search their library for what we want and steal it as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Seems good.
Uh, for those that don't want to run Op Agent, sorcery version of it is Praetor's Grasp, I suppose. 1 black for the sorcery that searches target opponent's library for for a card, and you exile it face down. Then they shuffle, but you get to look and play that card as long as it remains exiled. So yeah.
Yeah. Ashin says a far, far, far too expensive money wise, but Word of Command would be great. Here, and I imagine it's a card neither of you might have heard of either. Word of Command is the one with the 2 eyes, isn't it? Ah, I already knew about it. Instant. You may look at
Just
target opponent's hand and choose any card opponent can legally play using the mana from his or her mana pool or lands. Opponent must play this card immediately. You make all of the decisions it calls for. This spell may not be countered after you have looked at the opponent's hand.
yeah,
I'm gonna just check to see how much this card is. It's a hard.
150.
Okay, it's not ridiculous, but it's expensive.
We've had worse on here.
We have.
I'm just looking up the Oracle text. Look at target opponent's hand. Choose a card from it. You control that player until word of command finishes resolving. The player plays that card if able. While doing so, the player can activate mana abilities only if they're from lands that player controls, and only if mana they produce is spent to activate other mana abilities of lands the player controls, and or to play that card. If the chosen card is cast as a spell, you control that player while that spell is resolving. Okay, lots of text. Very old card.
Simply put, look at their hand, cast a spell from the hand, you are controlling them while that spell resolves.
Yep. So they can't counter their own thing, basically, right?
Pretty much.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Absolutely reasonable.
Action says feels like a very mind flayer thing to do. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that's very mind flayery.
So, along the same lines, I mean, I think maybe a Thief of Sanity
Ooh,
is probably a good one to have as well. Mind Flayer E in the sense that we're just taking their stuff.
yeah. 1 blue-black for a flying 2/2 Spectre. When Thief of Sanity deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library. Exile one of them face down, then look and put the rest into their graveyard. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may look at it, you may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any color to cast that spell. Which means even if Thief of Sanity dies, we can still cast them.
Yep.
Ooh, that reminds me. The look of it just reminded me. Ashiok. Is it the
Mhm.
Nightmare Weaver? The latest? No, not
No. Dream Render is probably the one you're thinking of.
Nightmare Muse. Nightmare Muse.
That one? Not
3.
Dream Render? Just making sure.
Let me just check. So the Nightmare Muse is 3 blue-black for a 5 loyalty Ashiok. +1, create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with when this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library.
Yep.
-3, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. -7, you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana cost. That is the one that I was on about.
Okay.
Stealing stuff from exile that's face up. So that works really well with the Lorcan Warlock Collector because it exiles the creatures because they're warlocks, and then Ashiok can just recast them.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just more ways to get rid of stuff in exile. We like exile everything and then bring it all back under our control again.
Yeah. I could see that. I feel like that. So if we're trying to go for that kind of effect, do we want something? What am I thinking of? Uh, are you trying to go for something like Turgid or no? Now that I think about it,
Tergrid.
Turgid? No, is that? No, I don't think that's the one I'm thinking of. Is
Tergrid
it?
is the 3 black god. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent, you may put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control.
Mm, that's not what I'm thinking of.
No,
What's
but
the other
I,
one?
I think it goes in regardless, though.
You think?
I think so. We're stealing everything. What? Everything in this deck is about playing someone else's deck.
I suppose. It's actually not the one I'm going for, though. What am I thinking of?
I don't know. I don't know, Han. I'm I don't know how to read you because, unlike where you can read me, I think, oh, we're going giant tribal. No, it's mill. I'm not
One of
letting you.
my
I'm
one of
not
my
let.
more brilliant moments. Ashen, I was not thinking of Dauthi Voidwalker, but that's pretty great too. I think I was thinking of Egon, God of Death. That's the one I was thinking of from Strixhaven. Uh, Egon, God of Death, is 2 and a black for a 6/6 god, so we like the power on that. Has Death Touch, and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you can't, you sacrifice Egon and draw a card. So doesn't that work in terms of with Lorcan? If a warlock you control would die, or does that not care about it from the graveyard?
Um.
It's an opponent's graveyard.
I,
It's an opponent's graveyard, so it does not care.
yeah.
Okay.
Though I think Duffy
I don't think it's
Voidwalker's
horrible.
still good.
Yeah, the Voidwalker is probably great. Yeah, 2 black for a Doughty Rogue 3/2 with Shadow. Can block or be blocked only by creatures with Shadow. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. Tap, sacrifice Doughty Voidwalker, choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Yeah. If you guys watched the Nicol Bolas one, this is a fantastic card in probably both of these decks.
Pretty much. I think. Yeah. I feel that this deck's pretty dirty, Han. What have we done?
It's very centripletsy. I mean, centriplets can be pretty dirty as well. So it's up there.
It is, and I'm ashamed to admit that I'm actually enjoying this.
Now we're in blue. Do we have enough things that ooh, how are we doing on cards now?
uh,
Count.
98.
Okay. I think in this deck, Equilibrium is probably fantastic, right? Equilibrium is 1 blue blue for an enchantment. Whenever you play a creature spell, you may pay 1, and if you do, return a target creature to its owner's hand. So we can just bounce things over and over again while we play our creatures and potentially get those ETBs again, right?
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Sorry, my brewing head just thought of something with another deck of giving creatures haste and bouncing a mana dork to get infinite mana. Yeah.
Okay, what you got?
Oh, that's for a different color combination. It's fine.
Got it.
Maybe I'll keep that one up here and forget about it. But well, I might try and bring that into a future brewing it live.
Sure. I've got 3 that I like off the top of my head here. But I don't know which one goes in where best, I would say.
Okay, so
Uh,
we have one
so
slot available. Let's find out which one fits.
yeah, we may have to find some cuts, is what I'm thinking. But first of all, Cunning Rhetoric kind of does what we want to do. I've brought it up in the past as well. It's 2 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent attacks you or one or more planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So,
Yeah,
playing with other people's decks, let's do it. Punish them for attacking us.
yeah, I like that one.
So, I like that one here. The 2 other ones, they go up in mana cost, so we'll keep that in mind from there. Debtor's Knell is a pretty decent one. 4 and hybrid Orzhov, hybrid Orzhov, hybrid Orzhov.
Okay,
Enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. Put a target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control.
that seems good. I'm gonna just cut a land for it. We're at,
Well,
we're at 36 lands. We can go to 35.
sure. Uh, and the other one is Mind's Dilation. We just want to play with other people's stuff, right?
Yeah. So 5 blue blue enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts his or her first spell each turn, That player exiles the top card of their library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it without playing its mana cost. Seems really good.
Yeah.
So just cut another land and go to 34 lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to
And how
adjust
are
the land base a little bit just to match our colors.
yeah.
There we go.
How do you feel about this? This is 32 creature deck.
I mean, the creatures are there for our commander to use, and I feel that if we can't steal, we've got enough creatures to actually win with them. But I feel that the deck will actually scale to the table because we're only playing what the opponents are giving us.
Sure. Uh, okay. And I think I have a substitution. Also Soul Ring. Okay, Ashen. I have a substitution because of the amount of things that we're doing. I think I want to move Marique to the maybe board and put in Urtai, the Corrupted.
Okay, so you want to put this to the maybe board and the corrupted.
Yeah, Urtai. Because that way, Urtai really works quite well in that you can pay a blue and tap it to sacrifice a creature or enchantment, and you counter a target spell. So you can we're going to be stealing other people's stuff, and then we can use that as counter fodder.
Yeah. So we steal something of theirs and sacrifice it to counter their own spell.
I mean, we can hold up that as a threat, but yeah,
That's disgusting. Can you imagine you use Empress Galena, steal their commander, and then counter a spell by sacrificing it?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That
Um,
that's beautiful.
it really is, right? Uh, and then now here I am trying to just think. You know what? Let's go ahead. Did we did we put in the other one, Cryptcast effect?
We put in Cryptgast.
Not the other one, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I
Just
put
looking through.
I put one in and left the other out because
That's fair.
Cryptgast also has Extort.
That's fair. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, my brain is going towards like card draw because I don't feel like we have it. We're not running Ristic Study and we're not running Smothering Tithe, so we're not super ramping either, right?
Well, we have Agent of Treachery that does it. Um, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Because here I'm thinking we're not putting an Esper Sentinel in and it feels bad.
Well, an Esper Sentinel is also a 1/1 as well. But we're not going to be casting many of our cards, so I don't think card draw is a massive necessity.
Okay.
Because we're going to be mostly casting and stealing opponent stuff, which means we'll have more of our own stuff left in our hand, um, to use and utilize.
That seems fair.
As Ashen says, you're kind of drawing other people's decks.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you
Yeah,
feel about it?
I'm feeling okay on this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting, really.
Ooh. Hmm.
Oh no.
How does Will Breaker work with our commander? With all these steel effects?
Let's have a look. Willbreaker. Uh, 3
Will
blue
Breaker.
blue human wizard. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, gain control of that creature for as long as you control Willbreaker. One overrides the other?
Right. So we just get to keep it instead of having to give it back if something dies? Is that how that works?
Well, no, it's until we lose Willbreaker instead.
Right. But that means they have to go through another hurdle, right?
True.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's fine.
maybe board it.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hardly own any of these cards, Han. That's how bad this deck is.
seems good.
It it's not my kind of playstyle, and I'm kind of enjoying it.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens when you brew with me, I think.
Yes. I think Kadama was the turning point.
Turning point, she says.
Well, when you have Kadama and you don't have a partner with it, and it just goes off,
Yeah,
it's
it's a good card.
it is. It's a very good card.
It's a very good card.
I need to build that deck again, but probably mix a little bit of blue in.
There's more new green stuff to use
Oh god, yeah.
by the day. But yeah, I think I'm happy with this.
Nilhor would
Yeah,
trigger target the opponent's stuff. Willbreaker would trigger. I believe all creatures would be bound to Willbreaker's death. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Seems fine.
Yep. But no, I'm happy with the deck. I think we've successfully made a Mind Flayer deck to drive our opponents insane and rage crit.
Yep. Are there any lands that you can think of that kind of really benefit here that we want to just throw in before the end here?
Castle. Is it Lochthwain, the black one?
Yep. I suppose Minamo works really well.
Mm.
Ashen, Kamigawa.
Is it Embreth? No, it's not Embreth. Ardenvale. We can put in Ardenvale and Vantress for scrying. There we go. So we'll put one of each castles in. So we got the white one that makes us 1/1s. We have the black one that draws us cards, and we have the blue one that scries.
Yeah, Ashen says put all three of that cycle in. Yeah, I think Minamo works really, really well. School at Water's Edge.
Ah, the untapped target legendary permanent one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could potentially help us on tapping.
I mean, it untaps Galena.
Yeah, yeah, that couldn't be busted at all. Yeah, I think Ancient Tomb probably a good one for the double pips.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Cascading Cataracts is one.
Is that the 5-color one?
Yes, but for us, it's just color fixing potentially.
Oh, that seems fair. I mean, obviously, we
Yeah,
can add in the shocks, the fetches. If
right.
you're lucky, you're proxying the
Um,
original jewels.
yep. And Phyrexian Tower probably is a good one too.
Yeah.
Just colorless and sacrifice a creature. Add 2 black to your mana pool. Always good.
I mean, yeah, sacrificing our opponent's creatures because we don't like them seems good.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I think that's good enough for me
Yeah,
as far as land.
I'm happy with that. It seems a reasonable deck. We've got the ramp, we've got removal, we've also got removal in the form of stealing it. We can cast stuff from their grave, from their exile, from their library, from their hand. I think we're gonna really upset people.
Yeah. Seems pretty good way to do it.
Yep. And we take no responsibility if you get kicked out your playgroup for this. you didn't blame don't blame us. To be fair,
Ooh. Yeah.
we do it with the audience, so it's your fault.
Yeah. If you wind up throwing all 3 colors of the Praetors in, it's not our fault either.
Yeah, or Skithrix.
I mean, there's a whole secret they're coming out with that, so you know.
I know.
There's actually, to be honest though, I mean, Elish Nor would be pretty great bumping up our creatures too. But yeah, no, I think it's fine.
Yeah, oh, Elishnon would be good. And things like Oh, what's the Orzhov enchantment? The one from War of the Spark, I think it is. But it
Or the
gives
spark enchant.
yeah, but basically it gives -1 to all of the opponent's creatures and +1 to ours. So there's that one as well.
Oh, ethereal absolution. Is that the one you're thinking of? Because
Yeah.
that's not War of the Spark.
Oh well. But the
Yeah.
idea is there. So those sort of effects would be really good.
Yeah, throw that into the maybe board. I believe it was Ravnica Allegiance, yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
era. But
Yeah.
I'm happy with this.
Yep. Yeah. For the record, Elish Norn and Shieldred would probably both be really great in these colors. Jin Cataxius is just straight up mean, but you can do it. And if you wanted to throw them in, by all means go for it. But I think I'm happy with where it is right now. Those are all maybe boards for me.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. There's probably other cards you can put in here that make it worse for our opponent. But I think as a live draft of brewing it into this monstrosity, I think it's a a good outcome.
Yeah, Mind Flayers.
Yeah.
Monstrosity sounds about right.
But thank you everyone for joining us, especially after our 2 week break. It's great to be back. And if you have any suggestions for next week, quickly shove them in or message us on our Discord, which you can get from the link below. If you would like to see more of us, we have all of the previous episodes on YouTube at into the99.com. Also, we are now podcasting these, so anywhere you find your podcast needs, we are there in into the99.com. And if you'd like to support us more financially, we have our Patreon and we also have our merch store. But otherwise, that's all from me.
Yep. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one. And hopefully, you guys are all enjoying pre releases right now.
Yeah, have fun and let us know how you get on and what your favorite play style is, because I'm really loving the dungeon mechanic at the moment. Have you
Venture away.
venture away? So until next time, we'll see you in a tavern nearby. Bye.
Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Into the